We want to take this opportunity to be grateful, but
Very.
also, share our gratitude, but in our own fashion with some attitude as
Of
well.
course. Of course. Do it, do it, do it.
Do it now. It's that attitude kicking in.
You cannot keep some of this stuff in.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Hey RX Friends We Got This podcast, where we share our thoughts on the pharmacy profession, experiences as healthcare providers, and explore our identities as two women of color going after it all.
Our friendship began as two entrepreneurs who were figuring out how to navigate this new frontier as two women of color in pharmacy. And that's given life to this beautiful podcast. We hope you enjoy what you hear here and learn from our experiences, because at the end of the day, remember, we got this.
We got this.
Oh my God. I
Saley,
completely
you gotta
ad-libbed that.
remember, I have the Chatbox.
Yes. I'm like, where's my thing?
No, we're
okay.
keeping this in.
No.
Sally's improv skills, you all. She
Just
did
like,
that on the fly.
I'm like, I think that's what I'm supposed to say. All right.
So funny. No, we're that was great. Actually, I kind of prefer it that way. Keep people on their toes. Keep everybody on their toes. They were expecting the same things over and over again.
Over and over.
No, we're giving you different stuff. Yeah. By the way, everybody, my name is Thu.
Hi, everyone. This is Sally.
And thanks for joining us today. We are releasing this episode on November 28th, which means that mid-year for a lot of our pharmacy students and residents is coming up super soon.
Yeah.
And before we jump into our topic today, I do want to make sure we give you guys a couple of important tips so you can take it with you. And by the way, you can listen to this episode while you're there and then share it with others, right?
Other people. Share it with everybody. Tell your friends to tell your other friends and their other friends all about our podcast. And what we are trying to do here. And this special episode is just going to be some quick mid-year survival guide and tips that Thu and I have for you. And I want Thu to go first.
Keep in mind, you mean, keep in mind, I haven't done mid-year in like years as a student. So I would say that first of all, if you're at mid-year right now and you're about to go to those showcases at like the pharmacy residency showcase, make sure that you are prepared to make an impression, because it is such a waste of time and it's such a waste of money, most of all, to go there and do what everybody else is doing. Give, whoever you meet a business card, or I don't even know what people do these days, but then just like write your name on a piece of paper or on the computer and then get out of there. Like, no. Let's try to make an impression. Let's introduce yourself well. Tell people why you're interested in this residency program. Ask smart questions. But most of all, tell people why you're excited to do residency. Like, really show off your personality, because that's how they're going to remember you.
Very true. Oh my gosh. You're like hitting it all. And I think for a lot of student pharmacists, the showcase can be really scary moment of that week. Yes. It is the first time you're going to have a visual representation of what the true competition looks like. And think about this. Everybody who's going to apply is not even there. But the first time when you walk up to the showcase doors and you see the masses lined up to go into the arena. Why am I calling it the arena? It's because I call the whole residency thing the Hunger Games. But, you see everybody waiting to go in and talk to program. I remember that having an effect on me. I remember that having an impact on me. And years later, I see students just say, all these people want residencies. I'm like, yeah, but focus on your race, like focus on your thing. So that's my advice to you. Focus on your journey and focus on your race and focus on the candidate that you have worked really, really hard to be. And that goes line in line with making sure that you have a game plan on how you're going to make an impression. Mid-year, some booths, you may end up being one of 4 people talking to a single resident. It's going to be difficult to make an impression or to even catch a resident's attention or the RPD's attention. But what you don't want to happen is if that opportunity exists, that you're not ready for it. that's like worst case scenario. And it's why I love what Thu's saying about don't just show up and sign a paperclip and leave your CV behind, but really have a plan on how you're going to introduce yourself, no more than 30 seconds to get your point across, because there are a bunch of people. You don't want to also seem overbearing to monopolize a program's time. So that's my first thing. Like, definitely just be mindful and focus on your strategy and your approach. The second advice that I have for you is look for informal opportunities to connect with people. The showcase is not where all of it happens. If you've been emailing with the program and you've been emailing with the resident or you've been emailing with an RPD, it's really not weird to tell them that if they have a few minutes, you'd like to connect with them offline. Coffee. Some people are comfortable with having coffee at the Starbucks 10, 15 minutes. Some programs actually built that into their resident schedule. You can book time slots to have coffee with residents at random places at midyear. So don't be afraid of hearing no. Like, it's okay if they say that they don't really have the time to meet with you offline to talk more specifics about the program. But that initiative and not being afraid to put yourself out there would be the number 2 thing. I think that, again, echoes Thu's point of making an impression, to put yourself out there and letting a program know, like, I really want this and I want an opportunity to get to know you guys when it's less chaotic, because that's what the showcase is. It's chaotic.
Yeah, honestly, sometimes I feel like it's kind of like, I don't know, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes I do feel like it can be a little bit a waste of time. Like,
It can feel like that.
people don't take advantage of it, I think is what I
Yeah.
mean. Like, they just think, oh, you go there, you stand in a circle and you talk to, like, people who are in the program.
Yeah.
I want people to think that this is like, this is not like a mingle time. Okay. Like,
No.
go in there with actual,
Business time.
yeah, it's business time. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
So go in there, step up and be confident, because
Yes.
I've been the preceptor who's manning that booth, and like, we'll get some weird, vibes sometimes of just like, why are you talking to us? Like, why are you even here? Why are you interested? Like, I don't really know what you're about here. This is your time to like actually come in and practice that pitch. Truly, like, this is a business thing, you guys. You are making business moves. So like, practice making your pitch. Don't just go in there and just think that this is just like a chill, casual thing.
Yeah, it's social time.
Yeah, it's not
not
social time. You're there to make deals. You're there.
It's not social time. And like,
Yeah.
one of those things that over the years students have shared that helped with that initial shock of meeting programs at midyear is if they have been exchanging emails with the program before the showcase.
Mm-hmm.
When they show up at the booth, it's more of, it's so nice to finally meet you.
Yeah,
It
that's so
takes that
smart.
awkwardness out of that first time you meet a program. I've been communicating with you via email. Thank you so much for taking the time to reply to my emails. I just wanted to come and introduce myself and tell you again how much I appreciate you answering my questions.
But if you didn't have that foresight to email the preceptors and all of that before midyear, then get their information and then follow up with them after midyear. Like, it was so cool that I got to see you and interact with you. Love to, like, maybe, I don't know, like, is it appropriate to be like, can I set up a quick call with you one day just to kind of like talk a little bit more about this program? I don't know if that would be too much work, because RPDs are very busy people, but just, I think it is an opportunity to stand out again after midyear and really be like, I remember talking to you, and then say specifically, like, I really liked it when you said this thing.
Yeah. And people underestimate that.
Yeah, because then they'll be like, oh, right, I did say that. And you'd be like, you really inspired me, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is. Use your social skills, people.
There's so many things happening at midyear. One of the things I also tell people, I'm like, don't feel bad for looking at the schedule to see maybe the RPD is giving a talk. maybe the resident is doing a platform presentation.
Mm.
Maybe someone from that program who's a preceptor is giving a talk. You're allowed to attend any any
Yeah.
event, right?
Preceptors, whatever.
Yeah, like
Hmm.
going to their presentation, that's ammunition. If you land an interview, I was at your presentation at Midyear and really loved the project and really loved this and that and the third. Some people feel like, oh, that's weird, that's stalkerish, but there's a
No.
lot on the line here.
Yeah,
I'm just
you
gonna
guys are
put that
like,
out there.
think of you as your own individual. You're like you are your own individual business owners, and you're trying to
Yeah.
sell this business, which is
Yes.
you.
Which is you.
So you gotta like make big moves basically to try to get
Swing
ahead of
big.
others, right? But
Yeah, swing
it's
big.
so funny.
And just wishing everyone luck, right? Like I think, but like I think like personally, I tell people like prepare, 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 and then luck will just figure itself out. But let's not depend on luck and show up unprepared. Like prepare.
Mhm.
But
But yeah,
it's
good luck.
also yes, like definitely good luck. Keep preparing. Don't be so afraid of hearing no. And don't always think that the visceral response is going to be no. What
Yeah.
if they say yes? Like,
And I mean, it,
what if they say yes?
it could be very stressful, not just for you, but the people who are at that booth too. So maybe you're not getting
Yeah.
the most like friendly welcome. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything. It's just that they're also kind of overwhelmed as well. It's a very
Yeah.
overwhelming situation. So yeah, just go in there, be confident. You know that you
Yeah.
got this.
You
So
got this, of course. Because we
uh
told you you got it. You got it.
yes. Well, so we had just for you guys who are listening, we just finished Thanksgiving in America. Thanksgiving
Yeah.
was a couple of days ago, and
Yeah.
I hope you had a good time, Sally. I know we're filming this way ahead of time,
We
but
are.
I hope that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family and
Mhm.
all of that. Do you guys celebrate Thanksgiving?
We do, and
Okay.
it's rather a big deal traveling to Kentucky this year for us.
Ooh,
Yeah,
traveling.
we are
How far
spending
is that
it.
from you guys? That's kind
I
of far, right?
believe it's far. I'm definitely not driving it because I I can't. Like my cutoff is if it's more than 4 hours in the car, I'm flying. Like I fly to Boston. I think it's only like 8 hour car ride. I can't do it. I
I get
fly.
it.
Yeah, I'd rather fly. Like the airport is never just going to be that hectic that I want to be in the car for 14 hours. Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
I don't know that Kentucky's that far. I'm not going to look it up because I don't intend on finding out.
It seems far, but I don't know. I'm all the way in Arizona. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
tell
that's
us.
awesome. Oh, for Thanksgiving, yeah, I think I'm gonna be spending some time with my family. I always like to
Yeah.
cook like the more traditional American foods, whereas my parents like to eat like the Asian food. And for
Yeah.
some reason they'll always make some sort of like Asian dish and then want me to make mashed potatoes. And I'm like,
Uh,
that doesn't go together. Like, what are you gonna
yeah.
eat the mashed potatoes with? I can't eat it with your pho, like your noodles. Like, come on, but they still want me to make it anyways. So maybe it's like a family tradition. But it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's just
Yeah.
like a cozy time before it gets
Same.
super duper cold. And I don't know. It's like a
Same.
lovely, just like a lovely warm thing.
Yeah, it is. Like it's always big for my family. It's big for my husband's family. I think for the last 5 years, I've pretty much spent it with my husband's family because of distance.
Yeah.
And my family, like, or we drive around. Like if we're staying in Maryland, we're probably making like 3 or 4 different stops, all
Oh, cool.
different.
Yeah.
So
All your
we
family
love it.
friends. Yeah, that's
A lot
awesome.
of to-go plates.
Nice. Nice. It's interesting when you're an immigrant and you
Um,
celebrate very American traditions.
yeah,
Um, I don't know how you feel about it, but it's just kind of part of that immigrant experience of just the
100%.
like what is it called when you integrate yourself? What is that word?
Assimilate?
Assimilate. Yeah, that's part of
Ah,
assimilation is
it
you
really
pick up
is.
cultures that you don't. So it's like it's like a mishmash of just like both,
Both
different
cultures.
cultures, all types of cultures, but it
Absolutely.
makes it unique and it makes it kind of fun.
It really does. And I love that part of the immigrant story. I feel like rice will always be served at our family gathering. I don't care if it's Christmas dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, birthday party, like rice rice and fufu and like
Yeah.
all these traditional West African dishes will always have a way there. And then
Yeah.
those of us that have been here forever, we're also looking for like the pie and the cheesecake.
Yeah.
It's like, so the table has a lot. And we're gonna post our Thanksgiving tables this year.
Oh, okay.
I think that we should let all of our friends
Yeah,
see what our
involve
tables
our
look like.
family. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That'd
So
be so fun.
look for our tables. Look for
I
our table.
do.
You
I
see.
yeah, I do love the sweet stuff. Not gonna lie. I like
Yes.
the pumpkin pie.
Yes.
And I
Apple
also really
pie.
like sweet potatoes, like the
Yes.
casserole. So
Yes.
good, so
It's so
terrible, but so
good.
delicious.
But
Anyways,
it's one day. So
yeah.
if you're listening to this, you're reliving Thanksgiving all over again because we're talking about all the food. You're reliving it all over again.
But we want to take this time, this opportunity to be grateful, but
Very.
also, share our gratitude, but in our own fashion with some attitude as
Of
well.
course. Of course. There's literally no other way we could do anything
Yeah.
without a little bit of just
Yeah.
sprinkled in there
You know
attitude.
how we do. But before we do that, if you are watching on YouTube, please like the video, please subscribe, and then write in the comments below, what did you guys do for Thanksgiving? Or if you
Yeah.
want to also put in like, what are you most worried about with midyear, or how did
Midyear.
midyear go? Give us an
Yeah.
update. Let us know how that goes. If you're listening to us, please, please, please rate and also write a review because that's
Yeah.
going to be how we get the word out. We reach more people, and tell people why they should listen to us when they're driving in their car, walking
Yeah.
their dogs, do all those things.
Yeah. Do it, do it, do it.
Do it now. It's that attitude kicking in.
Per usual. Do it now.
Okay, Sally. So let's talk about some gratitude. So,
Yeah.
first of all, do you practice gratitude just on a daily basis?
I really do. I try to be super, 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 super tuned in every day to, because I have, so like, again, like it's just because of what I have lived through. It's difficult for me to wake up every day and just feel like the fact that I can wake up and like go out into the world and do what I'm expected to do, like that's not a big deal. It's a big deal for me every day. Like there are some days I go to sleep, I feel perfectly fine, and I wake up in the morning and my body's like, nope, not today. We don't get to do it today. Go back down, right? And so when I wake up and my body matches my mind, which is like, let's get up, it's another day, let's face it, I'm incredibly, incredibly grateful for that. So I think that's just part of being a person who lives with a chronic illness
Yeah.
where I do have those days where I get reminded that like, okay,
Mm.
you probably need to take today to not face the world. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I go to yoga sometimes and I focus more on like the yoga meditation part, and there's a really
Mm.
awesome yoga instructor at the studio that I go to, and she said something one time right before one of our meditations. I like her a lot because she does share a lot of her personal stories, and she's like, one day or one time I was just feeling so down on everything. I just didn't think that like anything could go right. Everything just seemed like it was just horrible. And so she was in this really negative mindset. And
Mm.
she just decided to tell herself, like, just say your gratitude. Say it, say it, say it until you fall asleep. And she
Wow.
did. She just kept focusing on all the gratitude until she fell asleep. And then the next day, she's like, I felt so much better and I was able to tackle that day. But sometimes
Wow.
even if you don't have like the chronic diseases that you may experience, Sally, like
Uh,
gratitude can go so far. And I
wow.
actually, when I heard her say that, I started practicing that for myself. So when I'm feeling like this
Oh,
isn't going to
wow.
happen for me, this isn't going to go right, I start to like
Shift.
phase all those negative thoughts out with just gratitude. Like I'm grateful that I even have this opportunity. I'm grateful that I'm
Wow.
here. I'm
I
grateful for
love
life.
that.
And she said like sometimes she'll do it till she cries herself to sleep. And like
Oh, and
it's a
then
beautiful practice. Yeah.
yeah, and then like she faces the next day with like a better
Yeah.
outlook. I love that. And
Yeah.
I love that she like was that vulnerable and shared it. And
I
I
know.
bet you she was just sharing it, hoping one person, and you
Yeah.
took it.
Yeah.
That's right. Like it's just
100%. Yeah.
one person. If it speaks to one person, like you've done an awesome thing. I think
Yeah.
that's awesome that you learned that from her. That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
let me
wow.
kick off my gratitude then. Okay. This is gonna be really random, but I'm just gonna go ahead and put this one out there. I don't think Sally or I know what we're gonna be saying, and I
No.
kind of gave us a little bit of like guidance, but I'm just gonna start with the first one that I just thought of was
Yeah.
when I first started my big girl pharmacy clinical pharmacist job, I was given this one office, and in this particular hospital, we one pharmacist sit in like individual floors. So I
Yeah.
get to sit on fourth floor. That was my floor for like 6 years. And because we're so kind of like separated from our other pharmacist colleagues,
Yeah.
sometimes you feel really isolated. And especially when you're new at a job, you don't know anybody. And then none of your colleagues are around you. And you're kind of in this office that's like by yourself. And the nurses and the doctors, they don't know who you are yet. So you're just trying to like get started on in your new practice basically, which is really
Yeah.
daunting. And the first person that ever like made me feel really welcomed, ironically, was the lady who would always take out my trash every day or every other day. And she just came in and she was like, "Hi, how are you?" And she just was so warm, so welcoming. And then we kind of, me and Esther, we kind of like had this relationship over the years. And she'll just come in. She's like, "How's your day?" And like just being
Oh,
just incredibly sweet and welcoming. And
yeah.
actually, when I left that job, I don't think I really got super emotional because I was just kind of like ready to leave. But when
Yeah.
I had to say goodbye to her and then I told her I'm leaving, she was just so happy for me. Oh my God. Like
Oh,
that was actually the only time that I got emotional when I left because I didn't want to say goodbye to her because she was really the first person that like made me feel really welcome there. Yeah. Oh my God. What if we start crying?
oh, dude, that's beautiful. See, that's that generosity from a stranger. Like she was under zero obligation to do that. Like she
Look,
stood to
Bear knows
gain
I'm
nothing.
like emotional.
Oh, Bear, see, he can sense that you're upset. Oh, Bear's like, don't do that. Don't
Don't
cry.
cry. But yeah, that
Oh,
was really sweet. I really
that's
loved her. She was great.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm
And
trying to think.
unexpected because I wanted to like share ones that are just like you wouldn't really expect either.
Expect, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think for me, every single year during the holiday season, when I'm asked about what I'm grateful for, it's always like, oh, I'm grateful to have my health. To I
Yeah.
struggled with it for so long that I'm back feeling really, really good, and my body seems familiar again when I felt like I was living in this other situation that just didn't feel like my body. But I think a lot of what's happened in the last few years, my mom has had a lot of health issues in the last few years. And my mom getting a chance to meet my son, that is this year's number one thing I am most grateful for, because those are both two miracles in my life that I just felt like weren't going to be possible. Um, to become a mom was a real struggle for me. And then also to have my mom fighting for her life for the last 2, 3 years. Um, but somehow she's able to meet my child and be a grandma to my child. Like I see them play. Nothing has been able to fill my heart with joy that way in a really long time. That's like this year's number one. Like for me, I thought it would be like, oh, I got to bring my son from the NICU. Like it was a very eventful year for us over here. Like my son was born premature, 71 days in the NICU. Then he comes home. Then it's a whole different type of transition. But I think those two pieces, like having my mom meet my child, that is the number one thing I'm grateful for this year. Absolutely.
I'm all about like those miracle
Yeah.
experiences. I'm I also have like just weird Thanksgiving miracles also. Like
Ooh.
this is not this is like a more very lighthearted story, but basically my freshman year of college, I we were about to go into Thanksgiving break, and right before that there was a math test, like a calculus test, and I for some reason didn't know that we had that test.
I know where this is going.
No, I don't think so. Because here's the crazy part. So I literally was like, I didn't study. I'm not ready. But I walked in. I was a little bit late too. Professor handed me the test and I was like, F, like I'm screwed. Truly, like I thought like I was gonna fail this calculus test. And then afterwards, I'm like, I literally prayed to like the Thanksgiving gods. I'm like, please, 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 like, please help me.
Thanksgiving.
And then you know what's
Thanksgiving.
so bizarre was I got the test back and I got an A on the test. And I was like, what? Like, how did this happen?
Wait,
Yeah.
that's definitely not what I thought it was going.
Right. Here's the crazy part. So for some reason, the test that he handed me was missing like 2 pages. And
How?
so I just like I didn't have to like do the calculations for like two of those pages, which I feel like if I had to have done those, I would have probably failed because I didn't study for those particular equations specifically. And so I was like, it's a Thanksgiving miracle.
It
Like
is.
legit, legit.
That's a Thanksgiving miracle.
How
I
did
thought you were
I?
gonna say the exam was canceled.
Oh, I wish.
But for the exam to stand and you get an A, that would be a Thanksgiving
It was
miracle.
a miracle, no doubt. So, anyways, hopefully we'll experience more miracles this year. But that was a really great story, Sally. Like, I'm so happy for you to be able to experience that,
Thank
especially since
you.
you're like, I don't know if this was ever going to be possible for me.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was a real thought that I was becoming comfortable with.
No.
What's your
Yeah.
second? I want to this to be something that's happened professionally that you're grateful
Yeah.
for.
Professionally, I would
Mhm.
say I've never really got to say this to the people who gave me a chance.
Yeah.
Um, during my PGY 1 where I when I scrambled. I didn't match initially
Yeah.
and then I had to go through the scramble and that was such a crazy experience. Um that again, kind of like what you said, like I just part of me was like part of me is like I'm going to try so hard. I'm going to try to make this happen, but then part of me was like the chances are low. You
Yeah.
know, like I don't
Yeah.
know if this is actually going to happen. And I think I should save that story for when we actually do our match day episode.
Yeah.
But I was just given this opportunity. Like it was the moment when I didn't match to the moment that I did match. It was continuous generosity from so many people, from the preceptor that was like, I think that you need to do this and write me a letter of recommendation, to the person who's like, we already filled our position, but I heard about this random residency program in Indiana. They're brand new. Do you want me to send you that information? I was like, heck yeah, I'll take anything. To reaching out to them and then being like, yeah, send in your applications, and then getting to do the interview, and then having a lot of the people around me at the time being like, you should say this on your interview, oh, you should say that in your interview, and getting a lot of really awesome feedback and using that to really seal that opportunity. And then for a program to look at me, someone who just didn't match, right? Like at the time, didn't match was kind of like this. I don't know. You feel a
Oh,
lot of
so,
stigma around
it
it.
was such an awful, awful, awful
Yeah.
cloud around that.
So
And
much cloud. Right? Because people are like, wait, why didn't you match? Like, why didn't
yeah,
you make it? But
you
for them to
you must
just,
be the problem,
yes.
you know?
But for
Oh,
them to just bypass all of that
yeah.
and accepted me. And really, I mean, the part that I'm most grateful for was that they are the ones to help me get that foot in the door. Like, truly, if they didn't take that chance on me, and by the way, I did take a chance on them too, but if they didn't take a chance on me, I think the struggle would have been a lot harder. But as soon as it was just kind of like only way up from there, basically. So I'm extremely, extremely grateful for all those people that really helped me get there, but also that the program that saw potential in me where nobody else really did. And that's
Absolutely. Yeah.
I would never like I'm always gonna be grateful for that experience. Like always, always, always.
That's amazing. Oh, that's awesome. That's yeah, we're gonna have a really awesome residency episode because I think you have a really important perspective that I want everybody who's going through the Hunger Games to know and hear and understand. I know it's the Hunger Games.
Sally,
You
if
can't
you're trying to reduce people's stress, why are you equating it to the Hunger Games?
I'm a realist. I keep it real with them. This is Pharmacy Jumanji, aka Pharmacy Hunger Games, aka the fight for your life. Sorry, let me stop. But
Oh.
get it. You know what I'm saying. I think professionally, it has to go back to my school of pharmacy.
Hmm.
Um, I came in like to pharmacy school. I felt like I had a good sense of direction and like what I wanted to do, but I was blown away by the number of people that just wanted to invest. They just saw potential and made it their business to help me become successful. That was it's it's indescribable, right? And it's why to this day, if that school calls me, I come running because I feel like I have to pay it forwards, like literally for the rest of my life. From the time I finished that pharmacy school to where I am today, where I've gone back and I'm in a fellowship program, I have never needed anyone at that school to step up for me and couldn't find one or all of them to do it for me. Um, I'm very, very, very grateful that I chose an HBCU to be the place where I would get my pharmacy degree. I'm very, very grateful that at that HBCU, I found so many people who, first of all, were fiercely passionate about what they did, but also recognized potential in me and like invested. So shout out to the University of Maryland Eastern Shore School of Pharmacy.
Wait, what's
That's
HBCU?
yes. You say
What is
what is
that?
it?
Yeah, what does it stand for?
Historically Black colleges and university. We have to do a whole re-education. People, Thu asked what is
Sally, you can't
HBCU.
say that and expect everyone to know.
Everyone to know. I know. But it's a real thing though. I think we really need to talk about that
Okay.
because like ASHP is doing the whole diversity, equity, and inclusion thing, and there are people who legit don't know what HBCUs are. So
I,
like
I
I
know
know
what they are, but I didn't know what like HBCU
oh
actually
you didn't know the
was.
acronym was
Yeah,
for
yeah,
that.
I've heard of
Okay.
that term before. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's awesome that you did go to one. I just didn't know what like HBCU stood for.
HBCU. I'm gonna wear my HBCU grad sweatshirt next episode.
Oh, I love it.
But
Okay.
yeah, like I love that they picked me, as I told you in our pharmacy school episode. I didn't think anybody would pick me for pharmacy school. I was very worried about getting in, but I'm grateful that they did more than that, that they not only did UMES pick me, but they made it their business to invest in my success and have been a constant source of a great place where I can go back to and ask for advice random. Like when you know how I think, random advice. Okay. Where it's like, what? And I get it. They come through with all of the advice I need. And I'm like, okay, that's what it's gonna be. I get it now. Right. But,
That's amazing.
yeah,
To
I'm
this
grateful.
day, you're still getting support from them.
Yeah. I teach there every fall as adjunct. If they need volunteers for stuff and I can do it virtually, I do it. Um, I spoke at the graduation last year, which was like wild. Yeah, it, yeah. So like,
I'm so proud of you.
I love the school very very much, and people
That's
who go there and
amazing.
graduate from the program, like I want them to know that like if I can do anything for them, I'm open to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
I'm so glad I didn't cry. You cried.
I cried
You've
this
cried
time.
already, but I
I
haven't
cried for
cried.
both of us. uh
I'm
wait, but
so
if we're
funny.
counting, if we're keeping track, I feel like you've teared up more than I have.
I really have. I mean,
So
it's a
so it's
shame.
my turn.
It's a shame. You get it today. You really do. Because I think
Uh
every episode I go, I'm not gonna cry because it's lame.
yeah. Well, I lastly, because we are healthcare providers, are
Yeah.
there any stories about patient care that you feel that you're grateful for that experience, or maybe the patient is grateful for you?
Yeah. So
Are you gonna cry?
I
Oh,
think I am. But no, but I'm not because now I'm aware that he may make me cry. So I'm gonna hold it together. My last position was as a medication management pharmacist at the mid management program. A lot of the work that I was doing there was improving access to medication for patients that are medically underserved. They can't afford their drugs or they're completely uninsured with zero prescription drug coverage. This one couple, for the last 3 years, every single fall, the wife contacts me to help her get enrolled in a patient assistance program for one of their DOACs. Not going to mention the name. They couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford it at all. And for 3 years, this has been a struggle, but she likes the DOAC compared to Warfarin. Her husband is disabled. She has to carry him back and forth to clinic for monitoring. This just worked and gave them a better quality of life. Every year that I successfully get them enrolled in the program, she acts as if it's the first time that I've done the work because what I used to do was take the application to their home. Once I learned that transportation was challenging for them, I take the application to their home, fill it out with them, get all of their evidence, make copies, return it to them, fax it on their behalf, call them, do the appeals, and then tell them, we did it. It's another 12 months. He's enrolled, and I'll speak to you. If anything changes in the medications, feel free to call me. But she always just would be like, you're really like our saving, like our angel. I'm just so grateful because if you weren't here, I just don't know who would help me. I hate to believe that she's right. I don't want to believe that she's right about that, that I'm the only source. But this man had become hospitalized because of a PE because they were rationing the DOAC. That's how I met them. Right. And in the 3 years that I'd been working with them, he had not been hospitalized because of a medication related issue. I will never forget this couple. Right. Because we didn't have a referral process in place. It was just me keeping an eye on people coming in through the ED and picked them up and was like, it clearly says right there, they're rationing their DOAC. Let me go talk to them and see what I can do to help them with access. But they are one of my success stories that I will never forget because to me, it's part of my job. Like medication related issue equals pharmacist. So like I just felt like I was doing my job, but like she's so grateful. And just when I was leaving, she just like, oh man, like I almost felt like I was like quitting. I wasn't quitting the job, but I was quitting them when I know that that's not the case because she's like telling me, if this is what you have to do for you, please, please do it. I want you to know that we're cheering you on. And I was just like, it feels good to know that like my patients are supportive of my decision to do this. So they were the reason why I stayed in this role longer than I should have because I became so invested. But I will never forget that couple. I will never forget them. Yeah.
they obviously have really like warmed
I
their way
did.
into your heart.
I know like us M care, you people in acute care make fun of us. You make fun of us that we invest, 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 and the return on our investment is like this much. But but like here was a couple that we were 3 years in our health journey with them. And every year she would just react as if it's the first time that she's getting an approval letter from the drug company, and it's the same speech every single year. And that just never gets old because I remember what my work means to them. Then the other 2,000 patients I work on every year, they get the same level because I know that what I do matters. That's a blessing. That's a blessing that my job and what I got to do through my job, I can tell that it mattered to my patient. I am forever
Yeah.
grateful for
The
that.
impact that you make, you
Yeah.
just, is like, it's just like no, like invaluable. Is that the right word? Like
That is it.
there's no, yeah, there's no
It,
monetary value to it.
you
Like it's just
can't.
like a human connection that you can't get anywhere else.
So true.
Like where do you get that, you know?
Yeah.
Um, for me,
Yeah.
I have a patient that I think about a lot that has really stayed with me over the years. This patient case, actually, I think I ended up helping the family more than the actual patient, but I was on a palliative care rotation during my PGY2. And so I was at a bigger medical center at this time, and there was a patient that came in, and he was a readmit. Like they're pretty familiar with his case. He has like a cancer, a brain cancer that would cause a lot of altered mental status, a lot of, you know, changes in behavior. And so what
Sure.
he would do is he would barricade himself in the home and then call the police on his wife. And so that's how he ends up going back to the hospital. And it's like this whole thing over and over again. They would just calm him down, send him back home. He'll do the same thing, barricade himself, goes back to the hospital.
Oh
And
my
this whole
God. What a
time,
cycle.
yeah, it's just a cycle. It's a horrible cycle for the family, for his wife specifically, because she was his main caregiver. And this entire time, the palliative care team has always kind of been aware of their case. But they were always they had thought that the family did not want him to go into some sort of nursing home because it turns out that he's also Vietnamese. And so this is the part that I feel like
Oh,
this was
wow.
a special experience for me because
Yes.
when I was rotating through that rotation, going through that rotation, he came back to the hospital. And this time I walked in with the team. They were kind of trying to assess him again. And his wife, she's Vietnamese, hadn't really felt comfortable with talking to like an English speaking
Wow.
group of people, English speaking group of doctors. And so when she saw me, she was like immediately like trying to speak to me, trying to communicate with me. And she felt comfortable with me specifically because she saw that my name was Vietnamese, right?
Yeah.
I have like, I mean, I came to America when I was like in eighth grade or when I was 8 years old, so in third grade. So my English or my Vietnamese skill is like third grade Vietnamese level, probably like not appropriate for medical talk or anything like that. But a lot of times in Vietnamese culture, you there's like this thing that you can open up a little bit more.
Yeah.
So she said this thing to me that I thought was really strange. She said something like he was supposed to pass away like 6 months ago. Like they give him a prognosis of six
Wow.
months. And she said that to me. And I was like, oh, this is kind of a weird information that she's telling me. And something just like kind of like went off in my head where I was
Yeah.
later on, we were walking, me and my preceptor were walking back to her office. And I said, hey, listen, like, I think something's going on with the family. I think we need to look into this a little bit more. And I told her, I told my preceptor what the wife had said. And I said, I think that she wasn't planning on being his caregiver for this long because he's
Oh,
been alive for like more than a year now. And he was supposed to, he had a prognosis of 6 months. So
wow.
that was when the palliative team was like, all right, let's do a family meeting. Let's figure out what's going on with the family situation. And turns out his sons were the ones that were like, my dad cannot go into a nursing home, but they also did not help the mom at all in
At
taking care of him.
all.
And he has like brain cancer. Like
Oh my
he's not in his right mind.
gosh.
He needed help. He needed
Yes.
like more care, basically, like higher level
Yeah.
care. And the son was like, no, no, like we're Vietnamese. We
Put
can't
our
have our
elders.
dad,
Yeah.
yeah, in like the nursing home. And so there was
Yeah.
this massive dilemma where the patient is at in harm's way, right at home. The wife can't take care of him. He's going in and out of the hospital, and the sons are like, no, he can't go to a nursing home. So we really took a lot of time working with that family to make sure that the patient, like the son, is aware of what is actually going on. And like the crazy thing was the nurse was like, yeah, when I was doing like the wound dressing for his cancer, I told the son to come look at it, so he's aware of like what is actually going on with his dad. And
Yeah.
as soon as the son saw all of that, he's like, okay, I think dad needs help. Like, I think dad needs to get like higher level of care. And
Oh
so we were able to sort
man.
that all out. We were able to get the wife, the kind of relief that she needed, the patient to go to the right place with the right level of care, and the sons are all on board, the family and everything. And I think that like really improved everybody's quality of care, honestly, or quality of
Yes.
life.
Life.
And that has nothing to do with pharmacy, but at the same time, it is that weird level of like, I felt like I was meant to be there. I really did.
Absolutely.
I felt
Yeah.
like the universe had like placed me in that
Placed you.
situation so that the wife could see me and say, "Hey, we need more help." Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
How else could you explain? Like, what are the odds of that? But also, to your credit, something didn't seem right, and you spoke up, right? Because that's such a without proper context, that's such a weird random fact. Okay, he was supposed to die 6 months ago, but we're still here. What
Mm-hmm.
does that mean?
Right.
You had
It's a
like this
cultural thing too. The way that she said it, it's very
setting.
difficult to translate in English, but the way that she said it and how she said it, I was like, I think something's wrong. And she would not have been able to say that to like any of the American doctors. Like it had to, and not over the phone with like a translator either.
Absolutely. Yeah,
It
my
needed to be
mom is
like,
French speaking. I know the whole
you know
translator
it.
phone thing. It's
Yeah. So she needed somebody like someone Vietnamese like me to show up for her to be like, I need your help at that particular time. I sometimes I think back on that particular experience and I'm like, I think I was meant to be there. Like
yes, you
it's that
were.
weird feeling. And like maybe it's kind of similar to you, Sally, where you picked up your patients. Like you were there and you saw that they needed help and you're like, all right, let's and develop this amazing relationship with them. It's like that's like that magic of like that human connection that you get in healthcare. Sometimes you do something that made such an impact that you're like, I think I was meant to be there. Where are you supposed to get that from any other profession? I dare you to try. Cite me
I
on
love
that.
that.
I don't think you can.
I don't think you can. I do not think you can because like as a pharmacist, like we are like we're always listening. And first of all, information, it doesn't matter how much information it is. We have this keen ability to suss out what the important pieces are. That's like what the training focuses on. Like in this blob of information universe that the patient is giving you, what are the key elements of the things that they're sharing? Or when you're reading a chart, what are the key elements? Like I'm reading a chart, past medical history, all this stuff, relevant. Here, PE, rationing DOAC. Like immediately, like I have this thing that's activated that's like preventable medication related issue. That's a med management problem. Like I need to go see them, but did not expect that a relationship would form, and it's that part of being a pharmacist that I wouldn't trade for the world. Like there's the other part where I walk in a room and a patient straight up just tells me that they don't want to speak to a Black pharmacist. That's okay. Have a great day. I'll see you later. Or like people are just grossly inappropriate or a patient exposes themselves to you. All these different things can happen. But there's also the other times where you walk in and people are genuinely happy that someone is interested in the problems that they have, or they find that they identify with a person where they are finally feeling safe enough, comfortable enough to speak up. That's a remarkable story. I love that
Yeah.
story, dude.
Listen,
That's
pharmacists save lives. And not
every
just like
day.
anecdotally. I can't speak today. It's
Okay.
listen, we usually film in the morning. This is
Okay.
the afternoon. I'm
I
done
just
speaking for the day.
I just want to go on record and say that Thu hasn't been able to pronounce today. That was example probably number 4 or 5. I don't know who's counting. I obviously am not because I can't pinpoint which one it is. But it was
I'm
like,
like, what is that word?
what is that
Tell me
word?
what I'm thinking, please.
And
Yeah.
sometimes I've come through once, and the other times you've been able to autocorrect yourself. And this one, I'm like, what? What are you trying to say? I'm even lost.
Sally, I had a
I
whole day today.
know it's late.
It's late for you. Yeah. Yeah.
We're meant to do this in the morning.
Yeah. No,
But
that's
I'm gonna get super cheesy now.
oh, okay.
I'm incredibly grateful for you, Thu.
Oh.
I'm gonna get cheesy. So if you don't like cheesy, you can skip 30 seconds forward from this little part right here. Um, but I'm grateful that you took a chance. I'm grateful that you accepted the Zoom meeting invite and that you trusted me to give me your cell number and you didn't respond weirdly to the 2 a.m. text message that was like, we should do a podcast together. And then I'm grateful that you are so passionate about what you do and you love what you do and you are super invested in the success of our podcast. I'm very, very grateful because this was, I kept texting you. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. But it's because I really believe in what we are trying to do and the void we are filling. I know it's real. It's just not everyone is brave to jump out there on a random psychotic 2 a.m. text message. I'm
Yeah.
grateful for you for doing that. I really am.
Well, I was thinking about this today, and thank you, Sally, for that. I
You're
mean,
so
that
sweet.
makes that makes a lot. I mean, that means a lot. Oh my gosh. Okay, that means so
Yeah.
much to me. I'm
Number
cutting so much
five.
of this out.
Number five. I think that was number five.
Hey, no counting. But that means a lot to me because I don't know, just I was thinking about this today at my last job. Right before I left, I created this project and it was such a big deal that the company gave me like $50 to spend on something. And you know what I bought? I bought a microphone.
Oh,
Yeah, this was like more than a year
wow.
ago. I was like, "Ooh, they're giving me $50. What should I buy on this website?" And then I was like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna get a microphone for whatever I'm about to do." Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that so crazy?
Dude,
And
that's
now I get well, not this microphone because it's a little bit more expensive, but I upgraded. Um, but
clearly.
But before I got
Wow.
this and before you asked to do a podcast together, I'd mentioned this
Wow.
before. I've always wanted to do a podcast. I don't know what it is, but I felt like had all these ideas and thoughts in my brain, and I
Yeah.
wanted to like have somebody to do this with. And
Yeah.
so like you have no idea how grateful I am that you reached out to me because this was almost kind of like in the works even before I knew it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just the fact that you're giving me the opportunity to actually do it,
Yeah. It's
is
like when we
a
said yes to each
phenomenal
other.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like once we said, let's do it, we couldn't backpedal anymore. And I think like that's what
Yeah.
that was like the magic because it was like it kept living in my head all this time. But then I wouldn't. And then the moment I sent you the text, I was like, okay, if she says yes, it's go time. I can't just be like, oh, JK, I was just testing to see what you
Right.
would say. Just kidding. I can't do that. Like, we have to move
Nope.
forward.
Nope.
And
Nope. Yeah.
now we're
We're locked
here,
in.
episode 6, and killing it. I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud of us. I am so, so,
Yeah.
so proud of us. And proud of
And
all of the things happening around this podcast.
grateful for the people who are actually listening to us, right?
Ma'am,
Like if
ma'am,
anything, I'm grateful for those people more than
ma'am.
anything. Like you guys actually take the
Yes.
time to like listen
Listen to
to
us.
this ridiculous chatter like
Yes. It's like, wait, what? You're listening to us. It's surreal that
yeah.
people are listening and people are responding and engaging with us.
Yeah.
And I
Like
know I say it a lot on social media. I assure you that neither of us take any of it for granted. Like
definitely not.
we don't
Like
we don't take
every
it for
single
granted.
listen, every
Mhm.
single time we check and the numbers go up, I'm like, I can't believe like people actually want to invest their time in
Yeah.
this. And
Mhm.
it just makes me feel like, I don't know, it
Yeah.
just validates what we're doing, but also like makes me feel like my dream is coming true
Yes.
because people actually are paying attention to this,
People are
which is
paying
awesome.
attention. Oh.
Yeah. So
And
much
on that
love
note,
in this episode.
I
I
know.
know. All right. Well, and on that note, do you have anything else to add before we say
Safe,
goodbye?
safe Thanksgiving. I
Well,
think,
this is after Thanksgiving already.
oh, well, you know, we are happy that you're here and you were safe.
That you made it through Thanksgiving.
And you made it through Thanksgiving safely. You stayed away from politics and religion at dinner,
Oh gosh. Yes.
right? So it was wonderful. And we're so happy that you're here. But as always, we're grateful that you're listening.
Yeah. Do you have the chat box up?
I I have the actual out where is it? Outro.
Outro.
It's right here. It's right here in
I'm
front of me.
keeping this all in. You all
No,
need you get to see the behind the scenes.
no,
You
please
get to
don't.
see me fumble through my words, and you get to see Sally
And you
improv.
get to see Sally trying to memorize the intro and outro for God's sakes. I mean,
Oh, but thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If this episode speaks to you and you think that others may benefit from hearing our stories, please send this episode to them. It helps us reach more people that way.
this episode is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, and comment. This really, really does help us reach more people and a larger audience. And we are so grateful that you're sharing our podcast with everybody. Thu's and my socials and all of our handles will be linked in the box below. Connect with us. We would love to hear from you. Engage with us. Send us your thoughts, all of the questions. We love to hear from all the listeners. And until next time, everybody, don't you forget it. We got this. Oh my God. You cannot keep some of this stuff in.